Well, hello and welcome. This is I guess, welcome to the new student orientation. It's a new student success advocate Q&A. My name is Loretta Rowley. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am a student success advocate here at the U. Christine.
I'm Christine Godestabile. I'm also a student success advocate here, she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm really glad you're here to join us. I hope a few others choose to join us as well, but either way, we're going to have a good conversation. All right, just a couple of words about what we do. So student success advocates are above all available. We are available to every undergraduate student at the University of Utah in a lot of different ways to do a lot of different things. We are an individual that you can connect with directly, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in a moment. We are available if you have a question and you're just not sure where to get the answer. We are available to talk through more complex issues with you, sort of figuring out how to maybe navigate something that has to do with the University of Utah. Or it could be something quite diffuse, like I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. And we can work with you to sort of figure out where great resources are on campus to help you with those kinds of questions. We love working with students around figuring out how to pay for school. That's a pretty common thing. But honestly, if it has to do with your ability to be successful, how you define that here at the University of Utah, we are here for you and we will be helpful, I promise. You can connect with us in lots of different ways. You can text us, you can call us, you can email us. You will actually in the fall, assuming things go as currently planned, be able to meet in person with some of us. You can certainly meet with any of us via any number of virtual platforms, whether it's Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams or on the phone, or sometimes students want to have a long texting meeting with me. I'll text for an hour with a student. And so honestly, above all, we want to be accessible to you. And as you can see, we connect with lots of students just in the last academic year. And that isn't even complete yet because we still have the rest of semester to go. 44,000 connections with students. And so we're pretty proud of that because we're a fairly small office. I think there are, 11 SSAs now? Or yeah, I think there are 11 SSAs now, so that's a lot. And so feel free and just know we're here for you from now until you graduate. And even beyond, I still have conversations with students who've graduated.
So one thing, we have these guidelines for our meetings, right? One of the things that, since so far we only have 2 students, Olivia and Zane, thank you for joining us. If you want to use the chat feature to ask questions and things, if you're comfortable with that, by all means, that's totally fine. Since it is kind of small, if you want to turn your cameras or your audio on and we can kind of informally have a conversation about kind of questions, and if you want to introduce yourself, you don't have to, but you're more than welcome to. And so this is recorded. We do post some of the recordings, but we do make sure to try and protect personal information and prioritize your privacy. But whatever you all feel comfortable with, really the Q&A session is meant to be kind of what we can do to help you feel comfortable about this upcoming year, I guess, at the U.
So Olivia, Zane, either of you, would you be willing to introduce yourself? We'd love to hear your voice. Right on. Hi, Zane.
I'm Zane. I'm from Reno, Nevada. I'm going to the U as a freshman. I'm going to be a mechanical engineer major this year. I don't have many questions yet. I kind of just wanted to hop in, see what's going on and see like what I could learn. but I did come up with one thing, and that's like, I love like going out. I love the outdoors. I love mountain biking and all that. But with major like mechanical engineering, like how would you guys recommend finding a balance between like um, my physical health and like say mental health with a major like mechanical engineering?
I love that question. I think that's such a smart question. And one of the things I would say from the very beginning, like as soon as you begin with classes, if not before, I would say your priority this first academic year, let's talk about just this first semester, I would say needs to be to establish a strong foundation academically, to make sure that you're giving all that you need to give to your classes in terms of figuring out what is it going to take to learn in these classes, what's it going to take to be successful in these classes and to achieve the goals I have for myself this first semester, so that you can kind of make a nice transition from high school to college, a strong transition that would enable you to relax a little and trust yourself going forward, you know? So prioritizing building a strong academic foundation, figuring out where the resources are, where the best resources are to support you, okay, going forward, making connections with faculty, etc. All right. But I do love that you're saying, hey, I want to make sure that I'm finding a balance and that I'm not just kind of killing myself in my coursework. Because mechanical, and you're right, that's a very rigorous major. All the engineering majors are for sure. And they're long majors. They have more credit hours required than almost any other major, except maybe a fine arts major or something like that, performance major. So, so I think you're really wise to say, I want to make sure I'm also prioritizing my physical and my mental, my spiritual, my, you know, those other parts of me. And so I would say that in order to do that effectively, and I know Loretta's going to have something to say about this too, you've got to prioritize sleep. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like attending to what will help you stay well, sleep, eating well, you know, connecting with other people. But one of the things that one of my colleagues said, kind of as we were talking about how do we support students around these kinds of issues recently, he said one of the things that really worked for him in college was he would give himself permission like once or twice a week to go out, to socialize, you know, to just kind of not worry about classes and stuff. But the rest of the time, it's like, no, the rest, every other evening, it's going to be about staying focused on school. So he would kind of treat his school as his school as in, sorry, classwork, coursework as top priority, kind of like a job, he said. And then, but then he would also make sure that he gave himself permission and scheduled in these other experiences. And that's something you could do every day in a sense. You could every day say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing this physical activity, or I'm going to spend 20 minutes meditating. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that you can actually build into your routine where that attention to these other aspects of your well-being. And using this first semester even maybe to kind of figure out what's the balance. Do you know what I'm saying? So understanding that it'll be, in a sense, it's going to be you figuring out what works for you, because no one can know until you do. What do you think, Loretta?
Yeah, I think I definitely would echo what Christine says. I am lucky enough to, yesterday I hosted a different event for a class that I'm a part of with the Learning Center. And so the Learning Center is one of the resources that's located in the Marriott Library. And what they do is they provide individual tutoring. So if you have, and you can go to their website, you'll find resources in terms of the list of classes that they have individual tutoring available for. So you can do, it's 1 hour one-on-one with a tutor. They also offer drop-in tutoring hours. And so those are just, you can look up the schedule, and tutors that are available for different classes will just be hanging out for certain periods of time. I think they do have virtual options, and they're kind of planning what fall will look like. Yeah. But one of the things that Casey, who is in charge of the Learning Center, was talking about with students is strategies. And one of them that I really like is called reverse scheduling, I think, or reverse planning. And so basically you think about, if I want to have this done, if it's a paper assignment, whatever, by next Thursday, then what are the things that I need to accomplish in between now and then? So you can basically think through, when do I need to get started? So I think that's one way to say, if I want to be able to be done with this by a certain day so that I can spend the whole next day mountain biking or outside or camping or whatever that might be. That's one approach that I think is really helpful for making sure that you plan enough time and set kind of smaller goals or smaller chunks so that you know that you're going to be able to have time for yourself. One other thing that I think is really helpful to think about for some of the harder STEM majors too is memory and retention, and kind of what does studying look like. And one of the things that Casey pointed out, to his beautiful graph, was that the moment of first like learning or studying something is when you first like encounter it in class or reading. And if you don't basically reinforce that, I think within, it's either 24 hours or 48 hours.
24 hours.
Is it 24?
The curve of forgetting you're talking about, right? Yeah.
You lose, I think, 80% of that memory. And so in order to combat that, you spend 10 minutes, right? You don't have to redo the whole thing, but if you spend 10 minutes reviewing your notes and like rethinking through those concepts the next day. And then after that, it's like 5 minutes every day or 5 minutes every couple days. But that basically is going to help the things that you're learning in your classes stick in a way that you don't, when an exam comes or when, you know, a big assignment, you don't have to reteach yourself everything, because you've been working to retain and understand those concepts little by little each day. And so I think that's a really good strategy to kind of set yourself up to feel confident in your understanding of your coursework in a way that I think alleviates a lot of that stress. In ways that then free up time to do fun things outdoors each day or each weekend or something like that. But are you, I guess I'm curious, Zane, are you planning on living on campus or near?
Currently I have a reservation in Color Village.
Okay, cool. So I think one of the cool things about, or even just being near the U, you're in the foothills. So you're actually like right there. So you do get to, I think it's very easy to incorporate bits of nature and interacting with kind of mountains on a daily basis. One hike I would encourage you to check out is to the living room. And it's, I don't know, how long is that hike? Like 45 minutes, Christine? Have you done it?
I've never done it.
So it's just in the hills above the hospital. I think if you look it up, they might have more information on trails and things, but they call it a living room because the rocks look like furniture and you can see over the valley. But yeah, so I think even the layout of campus is very accessible to kind of interact with nature and do things outdoors on a daily basis if you wanted to too. So
I just want to say I love what you said about, so I want to reinforce this, the idea of working towards being as effective as possible in terms of your coursework, and the learning process will reduce your stress load, right? Because you're not worried about, oh, I've got this exam, I don't know if I get this stuff, because you're working daily in an active way to reinforce your understanding and to practice, rehearse, actually is the term we use, rehearse those skills, and that will mean you can build your confidence and know that, hey, I got this, you know. What do you think, Zane?
I appreciate that help. I'm not the best. Well, I think I'm a good planner, but I don't live up to my plans. So I think that working in like smaller steps, like you said, and just trying to work try to find what works efficiently for me, I think that'll be good steps to take.
Excellent. And know that we're here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one other little fun trick, because this works for me too. 5 minutes. The hardest part about getting things done is starting. Everybody, this is kind of a universal truth. So if you can promise yourself to sit down and work on it for 5 minutes, I think it's what 80% of people will keep going and continue working on that thing after those 5 minutes are up. So I think that is even just a little strategy, because all of us get, procrastination is inevitable for everyone in life. So I think that's a good trick too, in terms of just like getting yourself to feel accountable for those goals. 5 minutes, and then it'll most likely let you keep going, and that rewarding feeling of accomplishing goals by continuing to do work kind of gives you that momentum. So I think that's a little like reminder to keep in your back pocket of like, I don't want to, but if I spend 5 minutes, chances are I'm going to keep going. If not, I did 5 minutes, go me, right? So that's another strategy that is a good one to both give yourself permission to not always feel like I'm on top of it today, because none of us have those days every single day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, welcome, Daniel. Thank you for joining us.
Actually Daniel's mom right now because he walked out of the room. So you've got,
Daniel's
Lisa
mom. Welcome
Balaban.
too.
So thank you for doing this. And Zane, thank you for asking such good questions.
Do you have any questions for us?
I had, I'm hoping he's going to come back in. He had to, doorbell rang in the middle of this, trying to multitask and do things from home. I know one of the things he was concerned about was the balancing. That's been a challenge for him, in that he focuses on school and doesn't always leave enough time to do something else but school. So I like the ideas, that you were talking about with the planning. What type of coaching is available for, particularly the freshmen that are coming in, whether they're coming in with accommodations or otherwise?
Yeah, this is something we do regularly with students as SSAs. We work closely with individual students, and I think coaching is exactly the word, to support students in building skills, strengthening skills, doing what it takes to sort of experiment and figure out what works best for them, discover resources, etc. Just find where the support is and build and change, if necessary, habits. I mean, that's really at the heart of so much of what makes for an effective student experience. It has to do with habits, in all honesty. And so we're a good resource. And the Learning Center itself, as I don't know if you heard that Loretta mention, the Learning Center offers one-on-one, I can't remember what they call it, but it's a kind of coaching.
One-on-one tutoring for specific courses, but they have, I think it's called learning consultations.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You can do a free learning consultation with Casey, and basically, she'll sit down and kind of talk through, like, what are your study habits? What currently, like, if you sit down and study for 3 hours, like, what are you doing during those 3 hours? How can you maybe use that time more effectively? In a way where maybe you don't have to spend as much time, because you are being very efficient in how you're retaining that information or quizzing yourself. And so, learning consultation is what it is called. But that's
go ahead.
No, you're good.
The Center for Disability and Access, just because you mentioned students with accommodations, is developing, and I don't know where they are in this process, a mentoring program that could be for a student in that situation. There might actually be one-on-one kind of peer mentoring that could be useful, and that's a new program that's in development, as I understand it.
Okay, that's good.
One of the other fun parts about, in addition to the things that Christine listed, I think our job also includes like identifying goals. So sometimes students don't necessarily know what they want to do yet, or whether that's academically or after. or even just trying to identify smaller goals to work towards. If they have a large goal, we'll kind of help them like figure out what benchmarks might be along the way. I think the other thing is helping with accountability. I have a handful of students that I think they have a hard time kind of sticking to plans and goals that they make. So even just being able to text a check-in of, I'm going to try and accomplish this later. Will you text me so that, or can I text you? Just so that I have somebody that I have to kind of be accountable to. So I think even something as simple as that is often a part of our job too.
That's wonderful. Any words of wisdom for the parents to help make the transition smoother? It's been a long time since most of us have been in school, so.
I think the thing I'd say there is work something out with your student. Honestly, like, let's make a plan for how I can support you going forward as you make the transition, so that it's something that your student has actually said yes to, I guess is what I'm saying, and maybe negotiate a plan for checking in, for the ways or types of questions that might be welcomed. So do you know what I'm saying? So co-create some kind of plan.
Okay, so that's what we've been doing, and I'm leaving the direction to him and just providing advice on the plan a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's great. And also just, I would say, and this comes from the place of someone who has worked over the years with plenty of students who have found that they find themselves moving in a maybe different direction than they had initially thought they were going to move in, or beginning to explore or wonder about things, and that can sometimes create tensions with family, with parents. And so I would say, just to affirm Daniel's mom, that Daniel is in development, is growing, is going to change, is going to discover, is going to, who knows, make some different, that things might come up that might direct him in some different directions. And that could be really positive things, and it could also be some things that are hard and difficult, and that is the process of what it is.
That won't be an issue for me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm more of, why do you have to decide your major today?
Excellent.
So definitely, I think the U provides a lot of opportunities for the students to grow. That's what I've been able to see.
Excellent.
And then the last question is, when should he connect with you? I mean, orientation and everything's a little different. He's gone through the orientation, as have I, the parent side of it. We're driving out there to drop off. He's selected the U without ever visiting campus. So this is all a new experience.
Whenever he's comfortable. Honestly, okay. We're interacting with new students who are going through orientation now. Okay. And so, yeah, when he's comfortable, whether it's now or after classes start. Yeah. And a little bit later, hopefully, I think we'll have time. I'm going to share my screen and show you our webpage, and you'll have a chance to see all of us, all the student success advocates, and just see how easy it is to connect with one of us. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks.
Hey, Olivia, are you there? We'd love to hear from you, or if you feel comfortable introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Olivia.
Yay! Okay.
I'm from California. I don't have any questions yet, but I was just listening to see.
What part of California?
Okay.
I'm from California too.
I'm from Los Angeles.
Me too.
Oh my God, no way.
Los Angeles?
Yeah, like Burbank.
Oh, no way. I grew up in Santa Clarita.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, we're like neighbors.
Yeah.
That's great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm from a little farther north, so just saying.
Oh, where are you from? In Northern California?
No, I was born in a little town in the San Francisco Bay Area, just north of Berkeley. Yeah.
Oh, I have a bunch of family in Northern California, so we're up there all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All of us transplants in Utah. Are
Oh,
you ready for
wild.
winter?
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
Are you ready for winter?
Oh,
Like real winter?
I have no idea. That was one of the reasons why I chose it. I want to experience seasons because in California, as you know, it's really not. So yeah, I mean, my family loves skiing, so we go up to Mammoth all the time. So that's like, yeah, kind of it.
Oh, cool. That's good. Well, the trade-off, of course, is we don't have an ocean. So just
Yeah.
saying.
Also true.
Yeah, but we do have skiing and mountains and yeah,
So
definitely
we do have, actually,
weather.
along those lines, I was gonna say, if you are interested in skiing, we do have the ski club at the U. I don't know what the mountains are gonna look like, obviously, with
Yeah.
COVID and everything in terms of how often things will be open. But we do have, I think, discount ski passes
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that through the ski club at the U. There's also, for folks, if you want to ever bring friends, our student life center. We have outdoor recreation gear that you can rent. So you also, if you ever needed to, they rent skis and poles and boots and all of the stuff for that, and snowboarding as well.
Helmets and
Yeah,
helmets.
helmets are very key. So yeah, there is a lot of fun aspects of kind of that you can tap into on campus in terms of skiing and taking advantage of all the mountains that are nearby.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same spot as Daniel. I never got to see campus before I committed, but skiing and like all the mountains, like that was something why I chose the U. So
Okay. You will not be
Do I
the,
have in my
you are not the first and you won't be the last. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, and are there any other questions out there or things you want to talk about?
not for me.
Well, I have a question for you all. Okay. And I hope Daniel has joined us by now. But so my question is this, what are you looking forward to? What kind of excites you about as you anticipate starting at the U in August?
For me, I'm just excited to meet new people. I love meeting new people, so I'm really excited for that. And to join clubs and Greek life, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, all right.
I'm very excited for the outdoor stuff and just the whole campus experience as well. Just because, well, Salt Lake has pretty much everything from like in terms of outdoors, and also I don't know, just pursuing what I want to learn. Just have a more personalized learning experience, I guess.
Nice. Are you there, Daniel?
No, he hasn't come back. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Right on. Well, here's another question. It's similar but different, and that is there something that maybe worries you a little bit, or you have a little bit of a concern about as you anticipate starting here in the fall?
I don't think I have as many of the like traditional worries with COVID. That's what I'm mostly worried about, like how it will impact everything in terms of like, classes, how the dorms are going to be and all that.
Me too. I feel like that, and like being away, because I've never really been away from my home or my family and friends. So that's definitely going to be different.
Yeah, many of us, I think, are sharing that with you. But here's the thing, Olivia, you and Zane you've now met each other, sort of, kind of. So you already have a connection, I hope, of some kind. So, yeah, that big questions about that. I think that one of the conversations I'm having with a lot of students who get current students at the U has to do with what you're talking about, sort of the unknowns. Like, what's this going to be like? So you're not only having to deal with the unknowns of this new experience, new time in your life, new kind of environment, but also the unknowns of what will the pandemic bring in terms of those experiences in your lives. And current students are having that same stuff going on. And so one of the conversations I'm having a lot has to do with the kinds of skills, I'm serious about this, that you and all of us have the opportunity to strengthen or build right now as a result of this kind of wild time that we're living through. And one of the big skills is kind of an openness and a flexibility, you know, to a kind of affirmation of not knowing, and therefore needing to sort of just be available and be able to kind of roll with things and adjust to what comes. And in many ways, that ability to adjust is kind of fundamental to what it takes to be effective as a student in college and really as an adult human in the world. I mean, just taking what is given and bringing all of who you are, your experiences, your skills, your talents, your knowledge, all of that, and using that to effectively adjust in order to be as effective going forward with that. And so there are actually some ways in which you experiencing beginning college at the time of the pandemic will lead to, honestly, has already begun to lead to you building truly transferable skills that you can take with you going forward, that you can actually communicate to a graduate school admissions person or an employer or whatever. Hey, I started college during the pandemic. I figured some stuff out during that time, because you are already beginning to figure stuff out because probably your high school experience required that, right? Did you all go online at the end of spring? Yeah, yeah, but yeah. And so I just offer that as this is also a time where there's actually an abundance of opportunity, even given all the uncertainty, that the uncertainty itself is a kind of opportunity. And you're going to live into that, and you're going to be okay, just like we are, right, Loretta?
I hope so. No, I'm an optimist for sure. I think one piece of advice that I would give to you all that I think I recommend for all students, really, especially though in the context of all of this uncertainty. I don't know, are either of you doing all in-person classes or a combination of online and in-person? You registered yet for that?
I'm registering like next week. I think I'm waiting on some scores to come, AP scores to come in. So
Okay.
Probably mixture of both, but I don't know yet. So.
Okay.
I registered like a couple weeks ago, I think, and right now only one of my classes is online. It's my chem class, but I need to change.
So yeah, I think one thing, and it applies to both in person and online, but I think it becomes a little more important when it's online or potentially going to change at some point in the semester if that happens, is there's this weird hesitancy for all students, and it happened to me too as an undergrad, of not wanting to go to office hours or not wanting to talk to my professor or email them if I felt overwhelmed or confused, or I feel like you feel like the smart kid in high school, and then you get to college and you're like, oh no, I'm not the smart kid. This is hard. Like there's a lot of, I think, learning that goes involved in terms of understanding how college is different in what's expected and how the pace of classes might feel, in maybe the just personalities of your professors are a lot different from the teachers that you had in high school. And so I think a lot of those elements can be really cool and really fun. I think sometimes they can also be a little scary or a little intimidating in terms of feeling like, what is this? Or fish out of water sense. But I think one of the best pieces of advice that students can take is email your professors or make a note on the first day of their, like what on their syllabus their preferred means of communication is. If it's they have Zoom office hours, go to them. Even if you can think of a couple silly questions, because then they recognize your face and that's a good relationship to foster. If it's emailing, if it's in person. But I think advocating for yourself in terms of what you need to know to understand that content, Sometimes professors can seem intimidating, but I think sometimes it's just there's that perception. But if you reach out, ask questions, and that's something Christine and I and the other SSAs can help you do is drafting emails to professors, right? How do you ask for help? But really, like that relationship with all of your professors is one that I think will really help make your time here easier the sooner that you start to kind of build those relationships, ask questions if you have them, reach out to your classmates on Canvas and to set up study room or study groups maybe. All of that kind of stuff I think is a good strategy just from off the bat to start getting in the habit of, because it'll kind of help. I think the feeling of stress, you have ways to manage that when you can kind of have those relationships.
And also just kind of to go back to that uncertainty, that feeling that we're all sharing right now in different ways. I guess I would say that if you can just remember that we're all in that place, like even the people who are running campus housing and trying to figure out how to make that work and what's needed, we're all sort of saying, okay, how do I manage this? How do we manage this situation? How do we help students to connect with one another, for example, in an environment that may end up being significantly virtual? And so just know that there is that ongoing concern kind of behind the scenes that may not be apparent, of people trying to figure out how to help you have a good experience. And it will be different, undoubtedly, than it would have been a year ago. But there's going to be the effort, and we're here to help figure that out too. Yeah. And you, both of you are, I can tell, are proactive. You decided to come to this. You've been willing to show your faces. It's so I can tell that you're people who are proactive and are going to be intentionally taking steps to figure out how to make this a good experience. That's my impression anyway.
Same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions at the moment.
Okay. Olivia?
I don't have any questions either.
Daniel? If not, then here's something I would like to do before we end. I mean, we have almost 20 minutes left, but let me just do this in case, so that no one gets bored. Let's not just sit around. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to share our web page because there are a couple things there I want to show you if you're not already aware of these. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, there it is. Okay. So hopefully can you see that? That's our Student Success Advocate webpage there. So there are two things I want to point to on this screen. One is who we are. So I'm going to start there. And because I want you to see that there are several of us. Let me just move that over. Okay, good. There I am. Hi. And there's Loretta. And so we're really easy to connect with. And if one of us isn't, Loretta or me, doesn't feel like the right person, then, kind of check around. Oh, Annie, she looks interesting. Let me learn more about Annie. So you just click on that image and you'll be able to read about us. Honestly, you can email us, but really just text us or call us. There are students who do that, but it's rare. But it's just, don't hesitate to reach out, even if it's something little, even if it's just, I just need a person, like a human interaction with someone at this university. And it's easy to do, so do that. But if you're like, well, it's not that important to me who I talk to, you can just kind of click on this contact us, and you can fill out our contact us form there. You don't have to select one of us. You can say, oh, no preference, whoever wants to. You can type in whatever topic or question you have, submit it, and you'll hear from one of us. very shortly. We try to make sure if it's during weekdays, it's within 24 hours, but it'll probably be within a couple of hours, hopefully, if it's during kind of regular business hours. You can also find us via drop-in hours. Like right now we're holding virtual drop-in hours. So if you're like, oh, I remember Loretta, oh, I kind of want to talk to her a little more about something. Well, look, on Tuesdays from 9 to 10, you can reach out to her. Again, you can just call or text her during those hours. And let's see, so that's what I wanted to show you about us and who we are. But the next thing I wanted to show you is our Tools for Success page. This, even if you never interact with one of us in person, I mean, face-to-face or whatever, person to person in some way going forward, check out our Tools for Success page. We just added a couple new sections, but I mean, we have everything from academic skills to ways to connect with others at the U, to lots of tools and tips for learning online, stress management, time management, all sorts of things. And then just basic stuff about university policies. Let's take a quick look at this one, Find a Community at the U. So you might say, hey, I'm really interested in just kind of finding out what's going on in terms of academic communities. So you can check that out. Or maybe it's something more connected to some particular identity that you hold in a firm. You can take a look at that. Or maybe it's broader, it's more, has to do with just general involvement. So this is a way to quickly find your way to maybe either like-minded folks or you know, people are interested in student government, ASUU. People are interested in service or community service or doing something during, well, fall break doesn't exist this year, but in the future, during fall or spring break, these cool opportunities to do some kind of service in a community beyond the local community. Cool stuff going on out there. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to be a first-year student. I'm really interested in this idea of having someone who's already been here at the U and has some experience as a mentor. And so I might want to connect with campus life mentors, or maybe in years following, you decide you want to be a mentor for a first-year student. Campus rec. You want to know about what's going on in terms of outdoor adventures, programs, or intramurals, or esports. See, there's a thing called esports. I didn't know that until I was working on creating this webpage. Anyway, so and there's of course Greek life right there for you, Olivia. My guess is you already have explored that. So check out our Tools for Success page. I want to show you one other thing. Let's just click on academic skills, because you know, if college is for nothing else, it's for going to class and completing a degree, right? And so here you're going to find all sorts of resources. The curve of forgetting, if you want to remember what that's about, what Loretta brought up earlier. This is such a fundamental, basic kind of concept that will, for many students, it completely changes their thinking about what it means to learn when they understand the curve of forgetting, how the memory works. This is really interesting stuff. What sleep has to do with remembering stuff. A lot, just saying. So, but anyway, so you'll see videos, podcasts, as you can see, web pages. Let's go to sleep again. It might just be a quick article, but honestly, take care of your sleep. I know you've been hearing this or whatever, but I worked with a student a couple of years ago who was struggling so much with all sorts of things. And we were working on a number of things. And one of them turned out to be sleep, because his sleep was messed up. I mean, and I won't even go into how much messed up. So we worked on stuff, and he started getting intentional about caring for his sleep, you know, being intentional about and purposeful and sleeping enough and sleeping well. And maybe a year later, I can't remember, we connected about some other thing, and he wrote me the best text I've ever received from any student. And it was this: sleep was a game changer. exclamation point, exclamation point. Honestly, it was the most affirming thing almost that I've ever read. It was so exciting because he had finally figured it out, and it had changed everything. He was no longer completely stressed out all the time. He was focused, he was doing well in his classes, and he was moving forward in a way that he hadn't been able to before. It had made the biggest difference for him. So anyway, whatever, I know it sounds like I'm your mom or something, but sleep really does matter. So check out our Tools for Success page, check out our webpage. It's easy. If you can remember Student Success Advocates, you can remember ssa.utah.edu right there, okay?
Also, I was gonna say, Christine, while you're here, under what we do, that link, if you wanted to check out.
Thank you.
No, you're good. We've added an events page. So what we've been posting is upcoming events that we're hosting, and some of them are with just us SSAs. Some of them include other campus partners. So each of us partner with, or we have liaisons on campus that we work with. And so we host, now that things are kind of been more work from home or telecommuting, we've been hosting a whole bunch of virtual events, so that we have ones that are coming up. So you should always check this page to see if there's anything you want to check out. And then also at the bottom, we have videos that we've recorded with some of the previous sessions. The orientation ones will also be available on the orientation website, but we've posted a couple just for students to be able to go back and review if they want to remember what happened or what was talked about, or if they want to get more information because you couldn't go to one of those events. So yeah, the events portion of our What We Do page is also, I think, a good one to check out to see if there's anything coming up, stuff to learn about.
And this will be there beyond orientation, and we'll be posting events that we're hosting during the regular academic year, and undoubtedly we'll be doing some virtual stuff. I mean, we'll be hopefully doing some, I don't know, maybe some in-person stuff. I hope so.
Students.
Yeah, right on. Well, let me stop sharing. There we go. Okay. So anything else? We don't want to take up more time than we have content to offer.
That got me thinking, do you guys have like, besides just on the Utah home, that you have somewhere to like browse a list of clubs or something like that? Or just search?
Yeah, it's actually called Campus Connect.
Oh, okay.
If you go on that homepage, utah.edu, yep. look down where it says who, what, where. Do you see that?
Yep.
Where it says that. Do you see A to Z index?
Yeah.
Click the A to Z index. This is a really great resource. If you don't know about it, Olivia, check that out too. And then you can, hopefully Campus Connect is connected there. It's kind of a new thing, but if you were you able to find it?
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, Madeline added it to the chat. The student involvement, actually, they also have a website called getinvolved.utah.edu. And
cool.
a search engine that I think connects them to Campus Connect as well for all of the organizations and clubs that we have at the U, and also like community involvement clubs and things as well.
And you can actually on our webpage, the Tools for Success, find a community at the U. There's a link to Campus Connect right there as well. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anything else?
I think I'm okay. I'm good, I think.
Well, that's okay. I think maybe we've come to an end. I don't know. Well, you've met us now, sort of, kind of. Yeah. We've met you now. So don't hesitate to reach out to one of us or to one of our colleagues, one of our teammates at any point, honestly. Our job is to be here for you no matter what, and to help you connect to opportunities, to resources, get questions answered. Just be a familiar face, maybe even. Yeah.
One of the other things I will say, is like letting students just save our number too, because sometimes even if it's not right now, down the line it'll be like a couple semesters from now, you're like, oh gosh, I have a question. And so even just being able to reach out, even if it's been a really long time, we don't get weirded out by that. We're like, oh, hey, how have you been? So yeah, I think if you do get in contact with us, saving numbers or emails, reaching out in a couple years being like, I saw you at orientation once, is totally not a weird thing in our line of work either. So
Excellent. How true. All right.
well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
answering the
Appreciate
questions.
it.
Take good care of yourselves. Stay well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Hope
Bye-bye.
to see you in the fall.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.